Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Welcome to People Doing Good for Others, where we praise and honor and celebrate those who are truly making significant differences in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm honored to be with you today, and I'm very grateful for this show, and thank you for being here. I want to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions and 100.9 WIFM for our sponsorship. My very special guest today is Ms. Sarah Colbert. She's a native of Elkin. She's a graduate of the North Carolina School of Math and Science, also High Point University, and will be a student next year in a master's program at Wake Forest. She's spending time this summer with the Wilkes Partnership for Children, and she's also a member of AmeriCorps. So good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning.
We're just honored to have you with us, Sarah Colbert. So tell us about growing up in Elkin and a little bit about your family, if you will.
So I live in Trap Hill, so I'm kind of between Elkin and Wilkes. And so I went to Elkin City Schools, but I did theater with the Playmakers, and that was a big part of my childhood, kind of growing up here. My sophomore year of high school, I went to the School of Science and Math in Durham, and so that kind of took me out of Elkin. But prior to that, kind of what got me started in my choices for my future career and my education, as well as my service with AmeriCorps, really started more with my personal experience with illness.
Okay.
So my freshman year of high school, I developed a condition called gastroparesis, and they think it was a viral response where my stomach was partially paralyzed, and for a while they didn't know what was going on. So food would come to the top of my stomach, and the top of my stomach was paralyzed and would not let food in. So I rapidly lost over 50 pounds, and I was not overweight to begin with. And it was really the weight loss that caused a lot more health problems than the condition itself of gastroparesis, because it sort of reverses itself over time. So the rapid weight loss triggered gallstone formation, so I had to get my gallbladder removed and then I had some complications post-surgery. And then after that, I thought I was doing a little bit better, but I went for a physical and found out that my liver and kidneys were failing. So after reviewing my blood work, they called my whole family in and told me that I could die within a couple of weeks if changes were not made immediately. And so those changes were really dependent on me working with a nutritionist to try to gain the weight back and heal my body, because my organs were digesting themselves to get energy, because I had a BMI of 13 and my body weight was so low that my body just needed energy any way that it can get it. And so I don't want to give all the credit to nutrition, because I am a Christian and I believe that prayer played a large role in my healing process. But I feel like nutrition is very powerful, and it's a huge part of why I'm here today and able to tell my story and use my story.
So you're in recovery today, or are there any post effects on you, or how are you doing today, your health?
Yes, so I still have issues sometimes. Mostly stress will trigger symptoms for me, like a lot of people. So lifestyle changes is a huge part of managing my condition through nutrition and exercise. Really helps a lot, and stress management techniques such as yoga and meditation make a large difference.
Thank you. All right, tell us a little bit more about your experience in Durham with the math and science.
Yeah, so I'm so grateful for that opportunity, because it really got me interested in research. So if I had not gone there, I would have not had the research experience that really triggered my passion for research. I worked with a mentor at Duke University studying the relationship between emotional expression and pain in GI cancer patients. For me personally, when I was sick, writing and emotional expression played a huge role in coping with my illness and processing it and moving forward from that, because it's hard to talk to people sometimes because you don't want to be a burden, or they don't understand. So that's what got me interested in that project, and from there I knew that I wanted to do research. I knew that I loved research, and that's what I wanted to pursue.
Okay. Your choice to attend High Point University, tell us about that process and a little bit about being there.
Yeah, so High Point University is pretty small, and I had not heard of it until my mom went to a conference where the president, Nito Quabain, was speaking, and she told me, you have to come see the school, you have to come hear the president speak. And I just fell in love with it. I loved that the professors have such a good one-on-one personal relationship with the students. That plays a huge role, I think, in education and having those relationships and that mentorship that I received there.
Yeah. And your major there with 4 years? You stay 4 years,
Yes.
I guess?
Yes. So my parents would joke around and say my major of the month because I changed several times. So I started out in biology. I actually thought that I wanted to be a dentist. And I loved research, but I thought like dentistry, I don't know what that was about. But so I started out as a biology major, and then I started doing research in nanotechnology with my Gen Chem professor. And so I changed my major to biochem, and I stayed there for a little while, but then I was thinking about my personal experience with illness and how that mind-body connection really interested me. So I switched to psychology for a while. And then I switched back to biology, and then they developed the neuroscience major. And so I thought, this is perfect. It combines everything because it's such an interdisciplinary field. It addresses that mind-body connection and how you can't really separate the psychology and the biology when you're thinking about disease.
Okay.
So that is kind of my path to neuroscience.
I want to go back to Dr. Nito Quabain, and you talked about some seminars maybe that he would conduct for freshmen. Tell us about that experience with him.
Yes, so for your freshman year, you are required to go to a freshman seminar where the president would speak every week, and he would give like motivational talks about time management and balancing the different responsibilities that you have, kind of like addressing the major things first. He did an analogy where you have like a vase, and you put in the big rocks first, the most important things, and then you're able to fill in all the little things after that. Whereas if you tried to do it the opposite way, it might be kind of difficult. So you can make time for the things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm. I think he's such an incredible motivator and inspiration to all of us who've had that opportunity. It's almost life-changing to be around Dr. Quabain just for moments, I think.
It truly is.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I really heard him speak was at the Presidential Scholarship Weekend, where he addressed us at a dinner, and he concluded it by reminding us to just thank God for oxygen and just the opportunity to live. And I just thought that was really impactful.
Amazing. Did you study abroad, or did you do some things? Tell us a little bit more about High Point. We're so interested in how they've grown from 1,500 to 5,000 students, and just a little bit more about that experience.
Yeah, it's rapidly growing. I never studied abroad, but I am so thankful for the research opportunities that I had there. because I was able to start research freshman year, and I also did summer research there. And then I not only got to do the research in nanotechnology and have the opportunity to present at symposiums at High Point and also at the Joint School of Nanoscience and Engineering in Greensboro.
Wow.
But then I also got to have some research experience in biology my senior year, looking at the effects of nicotine on development.
Really? Let's fast forward to Wake Forest next year. What is that plan?
So I will be attending Wake Forest starting in August for their biomedical sciences program with a concentration in neuroscience. This will help me to prepare for my PhD in neuroscience, and then I hope to pursue a career either as a professor doing research or in industry.
Okay.
So that's my plan.
Ms. Sarah Colbert, tell us, you saw an article in the Wilkes Journal-Patriot about an opportunity. And let's start there with where we are today.
Yes, so I was trying to decide what to do, what the best way to use my gap year and make the most of it.
Gap year?
Yes, between going to graduate school and undergrad. And so I came across an article in the paper that said looking to make a difference. And it interested me because when I was sick, I couldn't do a lot of volunteer work. There wasn't a lot of time for that going between doctor's appointments, and you truly can't pour from an empty cup. So until those physical needs are met, it's kind of hard to go about other things. So being able to give back to the community that I grew up in, that really interested me. And then to be able to do that with Cooking Matters interested me because of my interest in nutrition and my personal experience with being truly starving. Because when my stomach was paralyzed, I experienced true starvation, and I know that you cannot think of anything else when you're hungry. So to think of children that are hungry and trying to function in school, it's just not going to work. You can't focus until that need is addressed.
So you learned about hunger?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's, you're with the Wilkes Partnership for Children. Tell us how that works in conjunction with the AmeriCorps and things you're doing today. Just bring us there to how we get going.
Yes, so the Wilkes Community Partnership for Children, they offer programs for parents in Wilkes County. They really focus on ages 0 to 5. So they also work with child care centers and offer trainings for them and resources for them and parent support groups and different programs. But they got funding for an AmeriCorps member to start Cooking Matters programs. And so that's my project for a year of service, starting Cooking Matters programs in Wilkes County. And what Cooking Matters is it's a campaign by Share Our Strength. That's a nonprofit. They also are responsible for the No Kid Hungry.
Share Our Strength.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're also responsible for the No Kid Hungry campaign. So they really focus on addressing hunger in America. So Cooking Matters helps to fight childhood hunger in America by going to the parents and teaching them about healthy eating on a budget, making the most of their resources.
Okay. We met for the first time and you were doing a catering project for the Elkin City Schools retreat. How'd you get involved in that?
So like many things, I got involved with it because of my mother who volunteers me to do things. But I love doing it and I love cooking. So she asked if I would like to help cater the retreat, and so I thought it would be fun. So that's what I did.
That was the most exciting part of that day, is that they started sharing you and what your accomplishments there, and I was just so inspired by that. Susan Cogdill is the executive director. You want to share a little bit about her?
Yes, so Susan has an incredible heart for the community, and she really gives her all in balancing life and focusing on the the partnership and just being there. She's always there, always offering ideas, and really being involved in the community.
Sarah Colbert, now let's go to an inspiration you had as a young lady at home about cooking. Tell us about that.
Yes, so my first exposure to cooking was really growing up with my mama.
Mama.
Yes. So she's not really my grandmother, but she was like a grandmother to me. So I already have two grandmothers, so I had a third one. And I also had two sets of great-grandparents, so I was very lucky. But she raised me and my sister and cousins and her family as well growing up. I think the most children that we had there at one time was like 11 or 12 one day. But she would just keep and take care of anyone. But she taught us to cook. And as soon as you could hold a spoon, you were in the kitchen with her doing something.
Wow.
So I learned a lot of lessons in the kitchen from Mama. I learned how rules are usually for your safety. For example, don't touch the skillet because it's hot. Of course, I had to touch it myself to see, but then I learned, okay, so maybe I should listen to these rules that are there. And then also trust. So she would hand me ingredients to put into things, and one day we were baking a cake, and so I would say the ingredient as she handed it to me. So I had eggs, flour, and then dirt. It was the cocoa powder, but I thought it was dirt. But if Mama said that it was good to go in a cake, I was for it. I was going with it.
Okay. To start this year with the Partnership for Children of Wilkes, a little bit of, again, if you will, tell us how it started and what you're going to be doing.
So my project is to coordinate Cooking Matters programs. So I
Cooking Matters. That'll be a kind of a catchword for us. Cooking Matters.
Yes, that's
okay.
what the program is called. So I teach the classes, but I also have to find locations, recruit participants, and recruit volunteers. And so the way our Cooking Matters works is it has two components. There are grocery store tours, where we take parents to each section in the grocery store and talk about ways to save money on healthy food.
So you're actually in the grocery store aisle with a person that you're going to train?
Yes, so we have, Walmart is a national sponsor of Cooking Matters, and so we do these tours at Walmart. And we'll have a group of people. It's usually 4 to 8 for the tours, just because we take up a lot of space when you're talking to a group. I'll often have people come up and start listening or ask what we're doing or want us out of the way so they can get to the soup. So we go through, and then they do a $10 challenge where they build a healthy meal. It's kind of like a game show where they're on a time crunch and they have to build a healthy meal for under $10, and then they receive a gift card to take the groceries home.
Okay. Do you ever go into the homes of your clients, the folks you're teaching? Is that part of it?
So no, that is not part of it. We hold, so the other component we do is our courses, and so we have these at sites throughout the community. So we currently have a course at the library, we've done a course at some public housing, we do courses at church fellowship buildings. Wilkes Presbyterian Chapel allowed us to use their fellowship building for a course. And the Wilkes Agricultural Center has also let us use their kitchen.
The Cooperative Extension Center?
Yes, so I actually taught a course with their extension agent, Courtney Parker.
I know her.
So she helped teach. She kind of did the cooking demonstrations and I did the nutrition component.
Okay. Tell us about finding clients, connecting with folks that are willing to come to the class.
Yes, so I go to the places that serve parents. If you try, my first strategy was to Google where do parents go, or like where to find your parents, and so I came up with all these things about looking for your biological parents, and that's not really what I was looking for. So I go to Head Start centers, to parent nights to speak. I collaborate with food pantries like Samaritan's Kitchen and Hope Ministries and recruit participants from there. And I also put flyers up on social media.
Okay. And you have volunteers who help. Let's talk about how does that happen?
Yes, so the Health Foundation has helped a lot with volunteer recruitment.
Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Heather Murphy?
And so they have a pretty strong base of volunteers, and so they send out my flyers for volunteer trainings to their volunteer base, and from there I can find people.
Paint a picture for us about actually standing and doing a demonstration and cooking. Just tell us about how does that work?
Yeah, so the way our classes work is that it's a 6-week class that just meets once a week for a couple of hours.
Okay.
And it's hands-on, so I don't do a demonstration and tell the parents to go cook the recipe at home. They come in and they're doing the cooking. I guide them through it. They're chopping things. I kind of delegate out the different tasks that need to be done in the recipe, so everyone's involved. And then they get to eat the recipe together to try it. I really try to emphasize, and Cooking Matters emphasizes, that it's important for the parents to be willing to try new things if they want the kids to try new things. Because if they're not willing to try a new vegetable, the kids are going to see that as well, and they're going to really follow that example. But then we do activities related to
now this
nutrition.
kitchen or a kitchen, where would you might be? Tell us, just tell us where it might be.
So
Is there a kitchen in the partnership's office?
No, so these are at the sites that we go to, such as the library and fellowship buildings.
All right.
So we use kitchens at the different host sites, and that's where
Okay.
we hold the classes.
All right. And this Cooking Matters is about from birth to pre-K children. We're going to work on nutrition for those youngsters and the parents. You're encouraging the parents to do that.
Yes. So our priority audience is parents of kids 0 to 5 because parents at that point, they have a lot of control over the nutrition decisions that their kids are making. Not only that, the habits that you form as a child are going to affect your eating habits for the rest of your life and kind of shape that and shape your memories and your approach to food. But it's also a crucial time for development.
Talk about that. Really get into that, the crucial part of brain development.
Yes, so at that point, it's a really important time for brain development for kids to get the nutrition that they need.
Sarah Colbert, tell me about some stories about things that have happened so far this year that would been life-changing for you.
Yeah, so one thing is that it's truly called me to a greater sense of gratitude for all that I have and all that we have in America. And I think about there was a parent who we do at the end of each class, they receive groceries to make the recipe at home. And I've had parents who were just in awe that we get 2 zucchinis and a whole can of beans. And that's humbling, and we do have a lot, and it's a lot to be thankful for. Another thing another story that really stood out to me was there was a man who came in and he told me, I can't cook. I don't cook. I don't know how to make anything. And the first class I had him working on, we did Chinese chicken, veggies, and rice, and we were making a sauce. And so he was going to measure out the ingredients for the sauce, and there was a little bit of brown sugar. So he takes the teaspoon and he scoops it up, and there's a mountain of brown sugar, and he's about to put it in the sauce, and it would have been like a caramel sauce. But luckily we stopped him before he did that. So that was the first class. But by the end of the course, he was coming in there with confidence and chopping up vegetables, and he actually ended up assisting with another course after that, helping
So he became a volunteer for the next course.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was really awesome. And at the end of the course, I asked everyone what they learned, what was their favorite thing about the course, and he said, well, I learned how to cook. And
Wow.
so that was really awesome. And there was another woman that's kind of a similar story who she came in telling me she can't cook. So I encouraged her to try it, but she didn't end up coming to all 6 classes. She could only come to a couple, so she couldn't really graduate. But she ended up coming to another class and coming to all the sessions and coming in and cooking and having that confidence.
So that first class led her to the second class, and she wanted to graduate.
Yeah, she wanted to, and she had the drive to not give up.
Wow.
And
Well, this experience has been life-changing for you in that you're seeing the realities of life and how a lot of people are living that we've never seen before. And a course, now how many folks will you try to bring together for these 6 weeks courses, Ms. Colbert?
8 to 16 is our range. Once you get over 16, it's kind of a case of too many cooks in the kitchen and not enough. We want everyone to have that hands-on experience, so having a little bit smaller of a group helps them to have that opportunity.
Now, would you say finding clients has been pretty easy?
I would not say that. I would say I've had a lot of help. I think it's been a challenge for me learning how to get the word out and the best ways to reach people. And of course, the best way is to go to them and tell them, talk to them. Because
Ask them.
Yes, ask them to come. Because that makes the biggest difference rather than just the flyers. Like they can see a flyer and
Right.
it's easy to just brush it.
One-on-one is how it works.
Yes.
Yeah. Sarah Colbert, tell us about the essence of food and how it brings people together. And you talked about it's a ministry. I'm learning that you're really a minister and you around food and nutrition. Let's talk about that a minute.
Yeah, so I think that food is such an important part of our culture and it really brings people together. If you think about it, when someone's getting married, we eat. When someone's having a baby, we eat. When someone passes away, every 9 by 13-inch casserole dish in our Baptist church is occupied with something going to that family. And it's also in church. Communion is such an important spiritual experience, and it's eating, it's cooking, is all a part of that. And I think that food is so important as a way to bring people together to bond and share love. And
so it's a social dynamic to it.
It is. It's very social.
Yeah.
And it should be positive and it should be fun. And it's also a great way to make us more aware of other ideas and perspectives. One of the things at High Point that I was really thankful for is the opportunity to have some meals with international students. So we would have a table and there's a student from China, there's a student from Brazil, there's a student from Austria, and we can all talk and share stories. And it's a really cool way to exchange ideas and also to become aware of biases that you might have that you just were unconscious of.
Wow. Ms. Colbert, as we come close to the end, we're here. The opportunity that I have is because of Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet Productions, and this TV setting is a gift to this county. And so the Wilkes Communications people decided to make this contribution to this, and it's been it brought us together today. So tell us about AmeriCorps, the partnership, how all this came together, and how you can see the rest of this year just being a fantastic year of growth and ministry for you.
Yeah, so I am so thankful for the opportunity to tell my story here, but also for the opportunity to serve with AmeriCorps and Cooking Matters and to be a part of the work that the Wilkes Community Partnership for Children is doing for our community. And I've seen the program grow a lot since September. When we first started out, we had no courses, and now we've had several finish and several scheduled. So we should be able to finish around 12 in my year. And I hope that this program will continue in Wilkes, and I've been really focused on forming relationships with the community so that it can carry on after I
And cooking matters.
Yes.
What an honor to have you here today, and to meet you has just been a real inspiration for me. And I hope you can come back, and thank you very much for your time and your energy and your vision to help people in a special way. Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet again, and for this opportunity. Mrs. Sarah Colbert has been our special guest, and what an honor to have her here, and hope you'll be with us the next time. Thank you.